Welcome to Audio Products Podcast. We are meeting with pro audio industry veterans, founders, product managers, UX designers, to learn how they build and manage the products we all love. You will get tips how to navigate your career in audio and how to develop a successful audio product. From musical instruments through audio plugins and gaming middleware up to music distribution platforms or consumer electronics like headphones, mics, and even automotive speaker systems. Enjoy! Good morning, Silvia.
Hi, good morning.
I'm super happy to see you. We had some difficulties actually, to record this episode. So I'm super happy that we are finally, able to make it, and we managed to meet before your holiday. So let me maybe start by welcoming our listeners, and this is a really cool episode because so far we were mostly talking about music production and some very nerdy tools. But today we are going to talk about the music tech startup ecosystem. So actually, how to help companies to start. And with this said, I would like to introduce to you Silvia Taschner, who is head of Wavelab Incubator program, who actually helps music tech and generally media and culture startups, to build their products. Silvia, maybe if you can just say a few words about yourself, right, and introduce, that would be probably the best.
Yeah, I will. Thanks for the opportunity and the invite to your podcast here. Wavelab is actually more than just a startup incubator. We are the innovation laboratory and startup center of the University of Music and Theatre in Munich. And the heart piece is our startup incubator program, where we support tech startups in the creative field to grow and to come to the market, actually, because we often start with them with just a validated prototype, and then we say we make them investment ready and accompany them to their market entry.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because we had a lot of conversation also during the meetups and with some other guests that these discussions how actually to help keep the music industry for music industry. So it's obviously a very much mission driven and very so how can we create a support system for people so they can realize their passions, right? So that's a great mission. And also for the listeners, you may actually know that one of those startups that were supported by the Wavelab is Just for Noise. You may actually remember Max, who was the guest on the 6th episode of the podcast. Yeah. So this is a mission in action. Silvia, can you tell maybe, typically we always ask our guests, to, tell a little bit about their career path and, how, they, grow their career into where they are today. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I've just recently joined Wavelab. I know Wavelab from its very beginning, 5 years ago in 2020. It was founded actually because of the circumstances that there was no support system, no infrastructure for creative startups. This is why Wavelab became founded. And I was studying cultural music management at the university 10 years ago, because I always wanted to work in the cultural sector sometime. And did a lot of side jobs, worked with youth orchestras, film festivals, different things. And in the end, now at Wavelab, I have kind of my dream job because it's related to innovation, which I became introduced some years ago, actually at my master studies at the university, because we have a a study module there. It's called Cultural Entrepreneurship Lab, where all students have to create a business plan on a creative idea. And this is how I became interested in startups and innovation things, design thinking. And the past 7 years, I spent my time at a company working with startups, helping them grow and scale to international markets. And now I have a great mixture of both my passions, culture and music, and innovation and new technologies as well. So this is great. I wouldn't have thought of it some years back that I would be here, but yeah, I love it. I learn every day so much. I mean, only the audio tech sector is so different and so interesting. So many things, platforms, headphone technology. You mentioned it all in your intro. So a lot of things to learn, and this is
Yeah,
only one small part of the things that are going on there.
exactly. So I'm always like amazed that while generally music and audio are pretty small market, isn't it? It's just not like a huge comparing to, I don't know, like automotive or, but actually if you think of all these like a small segments, you know, like automotive audio, gaming audio, games in general, right? You know, so then you come, or like audio video, you know, I work at Avid, so it's obviously like an audio video company. So we also have this entire media sector and stuff, right? So if you combine it all together, it's huge. And moreover, I can see that many people actually don't. They're just like sitting in their own small, I would say, segment, and they just are super experts in the, you know, like I don't know, like a consumer electronics, like headphone stuff, but they know not necessarily. They don't even know some basic tools and you know, let's say audio in games, right? You know, so there is this Canadian company Audio Kinetic, right? And people who are not in the games, they don't even know that who they are, and although it's just like a leader. And I mean, that's so cool because I think, you know, with your, I'm not sure if I understand it correctly, but you know, with your job, you have actually this privilege to work with companies who are in all the sector, you know, segments a little bit, right? You know, so you have actually
Yes.
nice helicopter view on the market, isn't it?
Yes, it is a privilege, but also a challenge, I would say. I could read all day, I think, about the newest trends and inventions, but it's pretty cool to have a kind of overview. Or I hope that I will get it because, as I mentioned, I just joined Wavelab, so there's still a lot to learn for myself. Yeah.
Understood. Yeah. You know, I'm old. While I work at Avid, I always like make music since like early 90s, and I'm always humbled, and I always have this imposter syndrome that I'm, you know, I have, you know, there's still so much, and I mean, especially working with people who, I don't know, have Grammys under their belt and stuff like this, you know, it's just so amazing. But Silvia, if I can ask, I'm not sure if I can ask you that, but before we jump into Wavelab, it's, you know, I'm so like, super happy because you are the first woman who's also like a guest on the podcast, and I'm, you know, I mean, I was actually like while organizing the meetup, we were like thinking why there are just men coming to this, you know, to the events, and I was just like you know, wanted to take this opportunity and ask you, you know, why do you think there are so few women in the music industry? And you know, it sounds like it's not very tech bro sector, but maybe I'm wrong. You know, what do you think is a problem?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer for sure. I think it has a lot to do with role expectations, maybe from the early beginning on. It's still normal to give to girls a doll as a present and to boys more a car or a technical thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe there is also a reason, but I do believe that women can do the same and are not much different to men. So I think we would need more role models in this field so that women are more confident to also get on this kind of career path and pursue maybe their interest in technology, and yeah, neglect maybe expectations from society that they're more family orientated or social services orientated in their choose of career paths. And yeah, I don't know why. Maybe because a lot of technology is invented by men, then it's harder for women to understand the main principles. But I don't think that this is the thing. I think on education side, maybe the STEM subjects like engineering, mathematics, technology, maybe there we need some new formats to also bring women into these fields and get motivated and interested more deeply. Yeah, but I don't have an answer. Sorry.
No, God. I mean, I'm just like interested in your perspective. When you say that, about the education, I just realized, that here in Poland, before, let's say, free market, before when we were behind the Iron Curtain, there was actually pretty big focus on some kind of equality, and a lot of actually women taking my parents met in the technical university. They were all both studying like engineering. My mom is an engineer, and I mean that I think it was pretty still somehow surprisingly, right? People think of communism or something completely wrong, but there were some interesting sort of cultural phenomena, right? That women were not put into this like you have to go to, I don't know, psychology or maybe like a special education, whatever. The women are not, let's say, good in technology related sectors, right? So that's interesting. So so that's actually, I think we have to explore this a little bit further, maybe later, and generally I think in the podcast. Thank you for that, Silvia. So can you mentioned already that Wavelab is not just like an incubator, right? So it's not just like a startup support system. Can you elaborate a little bit more? So I mean, I'm also interested, what specifically Wavelab as an incubator does for startups. So what are the offering, but also what other things, like you mentioned Innovation Lab. So I'm super curious what actually this means.
Yes, sure. Yeah, generally we support all kind of research or project oriented things at the intersection of new technologies and culture and arts, music, arts, and media, we say. So this can be a research project. This can be just a study project, because we are located at the university. Of course, a lot of our workshops are given for the students, so they get in contact with new technologies. They lose their ressentiments maybe against new technologies, and we offer them new ways to interact, to try out those technologies, and aim that there are born new ideas in the cultural sector in the end. And then we help to maybe find a business model for that, or find some funding, so they can even make it bigger, try it out and see if it's going to work out fine. And yeah, this is what we do. We do a lot of events, of course, where we invite some experts from the practical field or from university side, so they can introduce their concepts, their projects to a broader audience, to get a discussion also flowing about the new technologies in culture and arts. Of course, we know with the rise of AI, there is a lot of discussion about right music rights and copyright topics. So this is also that we want to give a platform to have an eye-to-eye discussion without being on too much on one side, but to make it possible to have an open space to discuss and maybe develop together new solutions to address some big problems or small problems or whatever. So
Yeah, it's not
place
it's
to
not black
meet.
and white. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not.
of course, yeah. So, and there is no this way or that way. There's always also a middle way possible, and we try to find those ways and do this in a collaborative way.
Interesting. You know, I mean, just that's great. What you're saying about the research, it's not just like entrepreneurship, but it's all like kind of research and like a scholar projects. You know, because a lot of interesting idea actually may start not just by having already like a product idea, right? But it can be simply some kind of interesting research. And actually, I find a lot of interesting companies actually originated by some, you know, like a PhD research or some I don't know, cultural projects that were turned into some, you know, like organizations. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
And like for
yeah, sorry.
no, carry on, please.
In Germany, this is actually a main goal right now because we do have a lot of great researchers at the universities or other research institutes to bring this new concepts, ideas, or things that they founded out to the general public and also turn them into maybe new businesses. So this is why we also are located at the university, because we know that the researchers do great and sometimes breaking, how do I say this, new and disruptive ideas. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fantastic. And for the startups, you know, what specifically, you know, so how the, let's say, support system for startups look like, you know, so what specifically incubator does?
Yeah, one step before the incubator, we do have a format. It's called Idea Check. You can just write us a text message. Hey, I have a great idea. Can you maybe give me some feedback on that? And we take 30 minutes or more and discuss it with you. And when you're located in Germany, then of course we navigate you through the players that can help you beside of Wavelab. And if you are a startup already or about to become a real startup, then we have this incubator program. It's a 6 month mostly remote program. And we customize it very much to the needs of the startups. So you get the most out of this program, because we see, and as we talked earlier, the market is very fragmented, has different structures, has different rules. So we saw that there is no need for a general broad, this is how you have to do marketing and this is how you do the legal stuff things. We at the beginning we do a kind of assessment with each team, and then we put together the most fitting program, and we do a lot of the sessions very individually. So there's always an individual coaching part, for example. So yeah, everyone gets the feedback that she needs at the moment.
That's interesting. Yeah, like in the last episode, that's actually being aired the same day that we record. A colleague from a German company, Noiseworks, mentioned that there's actually such a big need for like a tailored programs, right? You know, so the problem is actually when you are entrepreneur or successful entrepreneur is that there is so much generic, and you know, of course there are some great books like Lean Startup, right? Or this, what's the name, like Innovator's Dilemma, etc. But he says, you know, he very much seek like a specialized knowledge that is important for his specific market segment, and you know, like how to do marketing, how to do to scale operations and and software development in this specific case. Yeah. So that's great that it's so customized.
Yeah. And each of us, of the Wavelab team members, we all have a background in culture and arts and the different fields. And of course, the network that we built is also made of people who have expert knowledge in in the different fields. And yeah, this is how we also, of course, try to support the teams as good as we can. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I met, of course, Victor and Jens, so yeah. So we're saying, shout out and hello to them if they listen to the episode. Yep. And actually, you can find an article written by Jens on our blog, so if you would like to listen, read a little bit more. So, can you tell a little bit what kind of mentors you have in the program? Because I know, I'm not sure if you can tell about the upcoming batch, but maybe some examples of people that were mentoring. You say like you build a network, but so what kind of people are like mentors in the program? So what startups can expect? What kind of experts people can expect when they join?
Yeah. Actually, right now we don't have a mentor pool, kind of. We do have a lot of experts. They have several years of experience in the different areas, or they are very experienced in startup methods, or have gathered a lot of experience and knowledges in innovation stuff. We are very soon, hopefully, launching a mentor program. So we would have a pool, and the idea is to match every startup again with a suitable mentor, so they get through the program also regular feedback from a person from the practical field.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Listen, I told you, remember, right before we record the podcast, that my favorite music show is Super Booth, right, in Berlin, that I go every year, and also like as a former startup founder and product manager, so person who loves like building and scaling product, just out of this professional, let's say, fixation, when I just go to different booths and check products, new products, what's actually new in the in the music production department, I always like ask some questions, to startups, so like and sometimes actually I go with my friend who is also like actually successful audio founder and actually hardware company, microphones, and just like we're trying to see how prepared they are and how aware they are of certain things they are going to do. And I'm sometimes amazed, and I don't want this to sound offensive or rude. It's obviously not meant to point fingers at anybody, but especially if you build a hardware company, there is a lot of like a risk related. I don't know. You need to do certification because an export, you cannot ship products if you don't have like a CE, right, mark, or you don't do this. How do you say, like electromagnetic, right, certification that the product doesn't do any harm. And obviously the retail, how to say, like selling the product goes through some chains. By the way, Thomann, German company, or Sweetwater or others, right? So, I was amazed. That's great because, of course, a lot of startup founders are super passionate, and especially in the cultural sector, people probably make the products just because of this big drive, to build something super successful. But because my first startup actually failed because I was so, super passionate and sometimes didn't want to listen carefully feedback that I was receiving. That's why I'm so humbled right now, right? And I'm trying to help people. Actually, some of those conversations turn out to be some small collaboration where we help a little bit startups with shared knowledge. Yeah, so I can see there is like a lot of field opportunity, right? Areas, right, here, because it's great to be confident. On the other hand, sometimes I'm not sure what do you think about this, right? It's just like too much of a passion and just sometimes look at it with calm mind at the market and see what to, right? Experiment a little bit and verify. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. It's the most important thing to be able to do both, to listen carefully to feedback you get, and then sometimes to believe in yourself and your gut feeling. And yeah, don't listen to any good meant advice. But I think, and this is how I feel, personally, it's always better to listen carefully and then make up your own mind on a topic. And yeah, so I would always give the advice to founders to talk to as many people as possible and listen carefully. Like when we prepare them to have a pitch or something, we always teach them or ask them to listen carefully on the feedback part, because you're then overexcited and you're sending a lot, and then maybe you're not able to listen carefully. But this is the most important part, to get the feedback and to take it as neutral as possible. And even if it's not positive, then to take it with you, to chew on it maybe and process it a little bit later, and maybe get into another conversation to get it sorted into the right field and decision path then in the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, receiving
So,
part. Yes, that's important to be able to listen. Yep. Silvia, so can I just step back a little bit and ask more general question? What do you feel? How currently, how does the startup ecosystem look like in the cultural and especially music sector? So what is your opinion and some kind of your professional opinion about what's there, what's missing, how good we are, how mature it is, comparing, you work with startups, for years, so you can probably compare also to maybe other market segments. And
you mean worldwide or just Europe-wide?
maybe Europe-wide for the start, but yeah.
Yes, of course. Compared to other startup sectors, the cultural field is still pretty narrow, I would say, because it's so fragmented, as I mentioned earlier. But I think we saw and will see in the future more and more startups because of artificial intelligence, of course. I think we will see in the future more AI-based and DAW-like tools for creators to make their work more efficiently or easier, maybe in the end, to help them to do their work. Well, money-wise, still room for improvements, I would say. But there are some venture funds now, especially for culture ideas or startups in the field of culture and creativity. And so I hope that there's going to be more, because you have to try and then you know if it's going to work. I think there are, how is the number? 5% or 5 to 10% of good ideas, they become successful companies in the end. So if we want to see more successful companies also in culture, then we have to start more great companies. Yeah, and we are here to help and to navigate through the first phases. And we see also in Europe more and more initiatives coming up, and I hope that in the near future we will also get connected more and more, so we can provide a good ecosystem for the teams all over Europe, because everyone has different networks, and of course in Europe the markets are also not the same, so you have to have experts in the different markets, because you have to be internationally orientated as a cultural startup from the very beginning on. But the knowledge doesn't come from the heaven. You need to know local experts that help you to understand the different markets in each country. And so this is my hope. And so I'm always hopeful that it's going to be great in future. Yeah.
Yep. But do you think, I mean, I'm asking because I'm also not an expert, so I don't know what the ideal sort of like ecosystem should be. So I mean, parties, I understand that networking is important, like you say, it's just like people are connected, but I understand the easiest part is funding. I mean, easiest. The most obvious thing is obviously there must be some money, for people to try, whether it's VC or public, I don't know, grants, whatever. But are there any other, let's say, player in the ecosystem, like incubator programs, that should be part of this kind of like an ideal, like an ecosystem? Some kind of other institutions. I mean, universities, I guess, as well.
Yeah. Ecosystem isn't made of money, it's made of knowledge. So we do need universities, for example, and I can also only tell from ourselves, we are trying to get connected with every art university in Bavaria. And Bavaria is a small part of Germany, in the south of Germany. Because we see that we at the University of Music in Munich, we are one step ahead of the others, and we need more and more art students, maybe also to get infused by the thrill of starting a company and or shifting their artistic project maybe into a venture later on. So we are also trying to do a lot of entrepreneurship education, not only in Munich, but also in Bavaria. And whoever wants to get infused by our things, and they're happy to get connected with us. Then we need the people who are working in cultural institutions, in companies, in the creative sector, because this all makes a great ecosystem. We invite all of our alumni teams to give back to the current startups in our batch, because they have some experiences already that are very useful and great to have for the founders who are one step behind them. So it's a give and take. A good ecosystem is very well connected. There is no egocentricity. There is, give and share and trying to, make the, I'm a little bit pathetic sometimes. No, how is it?
No. That's, I mean,
English, but this is my wish that we all give our best to support young ventures and teams to become bigger and successful.
Listen, I don't find it pathetic at all. Honestly, the one thing I love about working in the music industry, that people are so humble and sort of, less egoless, so to speak, right? I mean, selfless. Oh, that's what the right word, I think. Yeah. So, and there is, I mean, more successful and knowledgeable they are, more, selfless. I mean, of course, they run companies, etc. So you need to be, centered a little bit about your success and finance, etc. But I experienced so much, and when running this podcast, I experienced so much, people were so helpful and eager to give back to the community, and even executives for top companies and funders and cultural institutions. That's I think very much different than in generally tech sector, right? I even wrote an article recently, and somebody make a joke about tech bros, right? So this kind of wild male guys from Silicon Valley and paddling each other back. and a lot of like a narcissism and also I think sociopathic behaviors, right? So just more greed and stuff. And I find music industry as a little bit kind of like a safe place, where this is not. I mean, maybe also because the market is much smaller, and people who are driven by greed, they cannot find here their home, right? They just cannot build $1 billion, like a unicorns, at least not yet. But we'll see. And one more comment about what you said. Actually, I hope once again that my friends in Poland won't find it offensive. But I do some like 3D recording, immersive audio recordings, and at my music university in Katowice, and I was just trying to sort of like see how interesting this could be for them to make some kind of lab, where we do some, projects. And I found in university very conservative. On the other hand, there is actually fine arts academy, so you would think nothing, related to music, but there is a foundation called, I think, Soundscape Foundation. Yeah, the guys who have a laboratory, and they have this big multi-speaker systems when they do some. It's not just music, because they do some kind of like immersive entertainment, like exhibitions, and you have even some healing practice, so people just like experiencing music through the entire body and stuff like this. Very, very interesting. Funny thing is, I met them in Berlin. So while they are from my hometown, I always wanted to go to one of their concerts, and finally I met them in Berlin. So it's actually surprising that some institutions that's supposed to be, like a they're just more conservative, because they're just like typical conservatory, right? I mean, piano, great, by the way, piano and jazz department. I mean, people from Juilliard coming here. So maybe that's the reason they're just a bit more conservative, yeah. But sorry,
you
I'm
have
just
to try.
Yeah. I do, and obviously I'm always like willing to, so to help and connect. By the way, I'm not sure if I told you this before the podcast, but we do these meetups. This edition upcoming is in September 18th, and like a link to this free meetup in Berlin is also in the description of the episode. But when we had the first meetup, a lot of people who are actually super experienced, like a UX designers or product people, funders, they say, hey, we are actually willing to provide feedback. So we're just sitting in the room and saying, hey, what can we give back to the community, doing some kind of brainstorming session. And people say, hey, we're actually super happy. Some people obviously mention, hey, and we would love to get something feedback. We're just building, some new product. But also a lot of people actually express the will, to help and give back, so we can also, just like letting you mentioned that it's so important to be connected, and, this community around the podcast also, there's a lot of people that are willing to help. So if this can be any help, obviously we can always direct people. This like, people from Ableton and Native Instruments and a lot of these, obviously, like leading companies who have like so much experience.
Yeah, would be great. Yeah, and thanks for the invite. I mean, this is also a new connection, and I'm very happy that we met.
Yep.
Let's see where it will take us.
Absolutely. Silvia, so one more question. I mean, a bit sensitive question. We already talked a little bit about the funding and, market not being huge and not having sort of such a big potential for scaling. And I know how to ask this question. Because on one hand, I understand if in order to start more companies, we need to have funding. But I can see a lot of people express certain concerns that if they're like a VC that are from outside the industry, so, like run by people who are not musicians or former musicians or people from the cultural sector, it may sort of, mission and vision of those startups can be tarnished because people just only think about money and scaling, So I just wonder, what's your opinion about this?
Yeah, I would say it's always good to have someone who knows the industry that you are trying to build something. And then it's maybe a question of the arrangement of the cap table. So if, of course, you have an investor not familiar with the industry as a lead investor, then it could be a problem. Yeah. And it's always, it's I don't know, some say it's more intense to have a relationship to an investor than to be in a marriage with someone else. So you should think about it twice at least to do business with the person where you have the feeling that he maybe doesn't understand you and your business. I don't know. Do you have like an example how it went in this not fortunate constellation?
Well, I don't want to, I don't want to sort of put people on the spot, and I don't have like a permission to talk. But I heard stories about companies who were either taken over, or even like some, I probably don't want to sort of speak names. Yeah, but I heard stories about the companies that they're just taken over by by the investor who is not like a industry, not so much knowledgeable about the industry, and maybe it doesn't hurt the company, so it's still there and make products, and on the other hand,
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning of founding a company, then there are also other options that might be more suitable to get money, like grants you mentioned, or having a business angel, because if you find the right business angel, he doesn't only give you the money, but also good advice. And if you have someone who is an expert in your field, then this is a better match maybe than a VC, because VC does all he does for getting out more money in the end. And if you're not as determined on your goals or how to grow and make decisions, maybe then it can be more a burden than a help to have a VC making you grow faster than you can, for example, because
or you want,
there
yeah,
is a
or you want.
limit of the potential consumer base, for example, because you have been overestimating it in the beginning to convince the VC to get you funded, for example, and then there is a problem. Yeah.
That's an interesting
So
point. And do you have like a, I mean, like a, not you personally, but then does Wavelab have a, like a maybe database or like a network of also, I don't know, business angels or VCs, so that you can point startups towards?
yeah, of course, I'm not big at the moment. We are 5 years on the market and doing our things step by step, but we do know some people, of course, and we're growing our network because we know this is the most challenging thing to get the money when we do the idea checks with the founders or potential or to be founders. Then the first question is, where do I get the money to pursue my dream? And then, yeah, of course, and we know because in Germany you have a lot of grant options as well. So we try to be always up to date when there is going to be some more funding round grant-wise. And then we get our community informed, and of course we also do help to put everything together for an application. Perfect. Or to get people connected. Yeah.
Perfect. Very interesting. How to say that in Poland, as you probably know, we have a lot of also still European grants because of the cohesion funds. So it's just so amazing. It's just billions of euros, literally, for like R&D and product development. Actually, I use quite a lot of, as head of product, one of the previous companies, I was actually using some of those grants to, fund some machine learning research, etc. Really things that we couldn't, have afforded if not for the European grants, right? Currently it's a
Yeah.
bit, there's some disturbance in the in this fund distribution, but still I know quite a few companies, and some of them are also like audio companies who use those grants to their advantage, right? And it's a great thing because it has no equity. You don't have to give up any equity, right? And obviously maybe some bureaucracy, it can be a burden, everybody knows, but on the other hand, yeah, it's obviously certain other issues with you if you have a VC from the very beginning, right? And yeah.
Yeah, and I have the feeling that the public funding departments, they're trying to limit the bureaucracy to the necessary limit or amount. And so it's getting better. And then, of course, you have AI now to help you write the pages for the application. So I think it's doable, and especially the audiovisual industry can quite profit on those fundings and grant options from the EU, the European Innovation Council.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, if I may just like stop for just a second and just to to everybody who is like listening to say that something has happened. Oh, I don't know if we have. Can you still?
Yeah, I do.
I think something happened. Hold on, just 1 second. No, something happened to my screen. I wanted to say to everybody listening or watching on YouTube that you can obviously follow us on various channels. So podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other Amazon Music and other platforms. Obviously, if you'd like to watch the other episodes like this one with the with the video as well, so on on YouTube, simply look for Audio Products Podcast. We also have Discord server, so I already mentioned this, people willing to provide feedback and connect. I mean, it's not just European community. There are people from New York and LA and from UK and all around the world. So you can just join the Audio Product Academy on Discord. The link is in the description as well. And also we have the premium section of our podcast on Buy Me a Coffee portal. It's something like Patronite, and we share some additional content, articles and unpublished videos and episode. It's just like for small, if you'd like to give a small support to our podcast. It's a non-commercial project, right, done after work, so we would actually very much appreciate you simply look for audio podcast on Buy Me a Coffee, and also link is in the description. I will be super grateful for any support. And it's obviously not just support, because there is some great content there as well. Yeah, so that's I wanted to remind everybody. So Silvia, if I can ask you one more big or like a general question, because like you mentioned, you have privilege to work with companies with different like a segments of the market. What do you think is like an upcoming future of the music industry? So what we can with AI and stuff, what can we expect?
Expect in what regard?
Oh, so yeah, that's maybe too wide of a question. Yeah, but what how AI can change the industry, like for good, for bad, like maybe some emerging new, other technologies, will this be better for creators or worse, or, or the same, it's never actually easy, so yeah, so how do you feel?
Yeah. So I think there will be more and more AI and tools that help you to do make music more efficiently, maybe to avoid sorry, I'm hanging, the nasty and not enjoyable parts of making music, mastering in the end, for example. We already have great tools. So I think there will be more and more tools to help you to do your work, or even on desktop wise to do all the administrative stuff you have to writing invoices or getting wiring money to someone. So there will be more and more assistance, of course, to help you and so you hopefully get more time to focus on making great music. And then, of course, I can help you to get inspired and find new ideas to express yourself in music. In the end, we have a professor at our university. He is writing an AI system, and he works with this system as a sparring partner. And he says from his experience, and he's a researcher in Linz in Austria, at the research lab of Ars Electronica and in our university, so that he gets new ideas and he uses AI as really an inspiration. And I think this is something that we will see in the future, of course. So maybe new music genres in the end, more funky stuff, things that we can't think about right now, because the AI is in the end a machinery that combines data in structured or non-structured ways. So, and this is also what our brain does. So sometimes we have great ideas because we put together two non-fitting things, and and I can do it in a more efficient way, and of course with more data. And so this is something that I imagine for the future in music tech. And
I think it's already happening even between before I'd say even without AI. This was already happening with all the digital tools. People like mixing genres, because you can actually take a synth and like a lot of virtual instruments, etc. And I know from some mix and mastering engineers, I was taking some classes, and people say, hey, it's just so hard to mix today anything, because there's such a which is actually so cool, right? Because new, very creative things coming up, and so with AI it can be even more of that. Interesting. But sorry, I interrupted, and you say there is more.
And then I think immersive sound will become more prominent, or will be there in our daily life. It's already there in automotives, of course, but maybe we will see it also in other places, public places, or in our home, of course, entertainment systems. So you can experience new things with audio and visual and XR. You see I'm very broad right now, but
No, I know, that's good. That's good. If you talk about it, I already think about Joy and the Blade Runner, the second Blade Runner, all this like XR entertainment, etc.
Yeah, and of course everyone is waiting for VR classes that are suitable for daily life. So let's see where this will take us. And of course there will always be artists or people from the creative field who will try to bring those technologies or new hardware things to use it in another different and maybe more artistic setting. And then there is going to be a colorful future ahead of us.
So what you are saying, it doesn't necessarily mean it will be just like a matrix that people will stop having connections. It's more like it will provide tools, to have more, let's say, concert that is actually with some VR or XR elements, right? That's what you're saying, or some, I don't know, museums or entertainment that will be in 3 dimensions. That's
Yeah, I think so. So you have maybe the opportunity, if you're stand in a concert hall, that you can listen to only the violoncellos on the stage, for example. I would love to try this out. I don't know, maybe it's possible. As I mentioned, I'm not very deep into every sector, but or what else? Like, yeah, XR can be used for so many educational things, of course, and I hope to see more of this in the near future, because we need some new formats for learning things. I have 2 children. One is in school right now, and it's actually the same as 30 years ago when I was in primary school. Um, they do it the same, and we do have so much great options, so many great options now for learning differently, and I think more in a more sustainable way. But this is not culture anymore. But I mean, culture is always connected to
yes, always
society.
communication. Yeah, look, education is so important. Yeah, that's what actually worries me a little bit sometimes. That at least in in Poland there is such a technology actually. How to say that? So the like a result I see is that you can make a lot of money in the technology, but working in the university or even being like a high school teacher, etc. It's not like you're getting a lot of money, and how can society be, how it can flourish, right? If you simply don't invest into biggest asset, which is like a knowledge and like an open mind and stuff like that. And yeah, we can see how this influence culture in general, right? And globally right now. So I'm just a little bit worried, right? That it's actually not valued enough. Yeah, but yeah, it's obviously like a
Yeah, we
different
need
topic.
more
Yeah,
discussions on that as well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, other things where I see high potential for music or audio technology is with medicine, for medicine purposes, and to help maybe hearing disabled people to be a normal member of our society. So this are
Actually,
there are some startups right now. I know you know someone as well. So
I'm
yeah,
even involved in the project like this. Yeah, so like using ambisonics microphones to create recordings for people who lost hearing, and so they can learn to navigate in the space with the well specialized objects in so that's when I showed for the first time this recording to a friend. He says, oh, yeah, that's so amazing, this could be such a great tool. Yeah, so not like still in an early stage, but we're thinking of how can we actually get the grant to create a tool.
yeah, and there are so many studies that show that music can help to ease dementia and maybe other diseases as well. And yeah, I think this is also very interesting to explore. And I know that, for example, in Austria, Ars Electronica is exploring those fields very much. And I think this is great because, yeah, it's the same thing. All together, we can make the world a little bit better. And yeah, why not think out of the box and use technologies or methods that are common in one industry or field of expertise and bring it into the other one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Silvia, can I just I just realized that I just went into a lot of a very generic questions, but I wanted to take advantage that you are in the Wavelab and you can experience this firsthand. So what are once again, in your personal opinion, the most common or typical challenges that startups, early startup, cultural and music startups have?
Yeah.
Some kind of common patterns that you can see, so we can actually
Yeah.
maybe help others to avoid them by just pointing them out, without, of course, it's not meant to be again for anybody to feel awkward, but maybe just like a typical.
Yeah, the problems the startups in the cultural field have, they're not so different to what other startups have. Fundraising, of course, go to market is challenging, and then creating a great pitch. It's always a lot of work. So we help with that, of course, with individual pitch training. Legal stuff, and yeah, you need experts, you need the expertise in different areas. This is why we have and try to build and grow our network, so we can bring in the true experts on the different topics. Yeah, and it's a little bit depending on where the startup founders come from. Sometimes they come from the tech side, then they maybe need some navigation through the cultural structures of the industry. And if they're having some experiences in the creative sector, then of course they need more help with marketing or economic business stuff. Yeah, to answer in more detail, it depends a little bit of the background of the founders, but yeah, this is why you should always be a team of at least 2 or 3 at best, so you can try to cover all the different areas that you need to start a business. Yeah, but of course, money and to decide on how to get started. And yeah, legal stuff, of course, because we don't, I can say from my end, in Germany, we don't get taught in school about legal stuff or financial stuffs in a very detailed way. It's very general.
But you mean like a legal in terms of like a funding the company in all these like aspects, or legal also in terms of like IP and music rights and stuff like this on both?
Yes, or certifications, as you mentioned. How do I do that? Yeah, this is always on your side. And but this is what our programs like us are there for, to help and to have the experts and do some free or cost-reduced advisory, so you can know how to do and what step to put next.
But how about if somebody, if a startup, for example, they want to sign up or sign a deal with a investor, do you have some experts, for example, who could help, with like advising them legally on, it's actually also like a quite, like you mentioned, it's just signing up for like a deal that can be harder than, getting married, right? So I think, and this is like what I actually see, that some companies or some people I knew, that they actually had some trouble, right? Because they signed some, let's say, unfair or like a deal that they didn't realize the consequences of, right? So do you have some experts in the thing? Do you like help startups?
Yeah, we would have experts, because we in the team can't do it and won't do it. But of course we can match you with an expert, or if we don't have the right expert, we would look through our network for the right one to put you in contact with him or her. Yeah, this person is the better.
Great. Yeah. All right, Silvia, so I mean, we already mentioned in the beginning that actually, maybe before we talk about the upcoming batch, so can you tell a little bit also what startups, were, so far part of the like a previous batches, so I'm not saying even names, but, like what kind of, and we already mentioned Just for Noise, and, say hello, Max, if you're listening to us, hello. And but what kind of sectors and what are typical companies that were part of the program so far?
Yeah, we are open for startups from music, film, theater, and fine arts. They have an idea that is related to a new technology like AI, VR, AR, XR, machine learning, data science, and we had in the past mostly startups from the music sector. Maybe because we are a university of music, I don't know. But I think there are more tech people maybe who are ambitious musicians, and then after some time they want to do something that they really love, and then I think they start a company on their own related to their passion, music then. But we also do have a lot of apps, for example, that are supposed to be used in a museum. So you can experience art in a different way, immersive again. This is a big thing, or also everything related to, I am looking for the term in English, to get an art explained to yourself when you're visiting a museum, for example. So you get the information on the painter, for example, and the century where the painting was made. So there you can also use technology very well. So you don't have to read a text when you're standing in the museum and get distracted from the real thing, the painting or the sculpture, for example. Or to make it accessible art when you're not even in the room where the art is located. For example, an online gallery also to empower artists from all over the world to show their paintings, because sometimes they live in regions of the world where they are not allowed to exhibit, for example, or they have a different opinion than the government does. And so this is also an area where new technology or the digital world can help creators to express themselves and to get connected with people who are interested in their work.
This is interesting. This is interesting. My younger sister is a painter, so I can see how she struggles and actually navigates through this, like a. But honestly, unfortunately, I have to say that this is like a lot of, like online galleries and even some tools that allow you to display your art. But I mean, I believe once again, maybe because of the number of people that are, the technology enables so many people to, to be creative, right, and show their art, that it's very, very hard to get through. And a lot of this, the galleries actually pretty cool offerings, and actually sometimes it's not that very expensive to show your art. I don't know, in Rome or New York or whatever, but actually. One thing is actually to show it, on the other is actually to really, get certain recognition, and this is, where artists, I think, the similar like musicians, become more like a small content, like a entrepreneurs, right? Because they have to deal, all the marketing and personal branding and stuff like this, and can be extremely tiring for artists. Yeah, my sisters always complain that it's so hard because she's like a mother of two, and and trying to like paint and still like look after all the social media and talk to the galleries and stuff like this. So she says, and I would like to focus on actually doing like a great art. Well, to do any art, right? So I need to, in order to be good. Yeah, it's the same like with music. I mean, probably only people who are doing some music know how hard it can be, right, to get to some really good level, and actually how many years sometimes one needs, right, in order to get to the point where you are satisfied with what you do. Maybe with some exception of some great talents, right? I don't know. There are some people who, I don't know, are magicians, right? They play guitar or something. But I remember when I was just doing first album, it's just I couldn't look at music for like a year later, right? I was so tired, and I say it's just hard work actually, to be an artist.
And as you mentioned, if you have to do all the distribution or marketing also only for yourself, then this is also very much work, and this is where the new tools are also able to help. And we do have a lot of platform solutions, of course, to connect the right people via this platform. So to make it easier on both sides to bring great art into the world and also to make money out of it. If you're a label or a publisher, of course, then you always want to find the hottest new artists.
But yeah, I would just say that it's obviously, I think that's the sign of. I'm not sure you agree. The sign of the, let's say, of the like the current state of the let's say cultural. I mean, that's my understanding. When you can say what you think, is that there is in order to be artists in 90s or 80s, you need to have a deal with the label, and probably you need to actually find proper AR person, because even if you sign up to the deal, if there's a guy who is actually your AR person, you may not get enough exposure, etc. Nowadays with Spotify, etc., you can get exposed very quickly. So we are actually experiencing the other problem. There is actually great availability, but I mean a number of great artists. I'm just like, when I sometimes browse through not only music, but I don't know, like painters or how talented people are on the internet. How can you break through if there is millions of people who are just creative and doing some amazing stuff, right? So how one can be actually discovered, right, and actually live of your art if there is so much to choose from. Not sure why.
I would say this is also a problem that a lot of startups are now addressing and trying to find good solutions, and also bring the audience on their apps or platforms, so they maybe also avoid algorithm bubbles they are currently in. So I think
so kind of super fun, something like super fun, or like creating communities around. Okay, so that could be that's interesting. That's a very interesting, like a opportunity area.
Yeah, and maybe also to activate the audience a little bit more, because now we are pretty much only consuming, and we are browsing, and if we like someone, we hit a like button or something. And I think a lot of solutions are now trying to make the listeners to nominate a certain artist or song to get voted, so this artist or song gets the promotion and the spotlight.
So we avoid sort of TikTok, Instagram kind of, that people just like have super quick attention span and don't. I think that's what I think right now is actually that's the other problem, right? That that with these social media technologies, people have such a short attention span, right? That it's so hard actually to attract and actually build a relation with any artist.
For myself as well, my concentration shortens day by day. I think a lot of things will change, but I know that we have great founders and great minds there to address the problems, the new aroused problems, and then we will have great solutions to solve them.
Just wanted to be, for you and for listeners to be, to be precise, that I'm not saying that I'm against technology. I'm just what I'm trying to say is that there are certain dark patterns, right? And technology can be used, it's just a tool, right? So it can be used either in a very positive way, or like you say, just like attract and keep people sort of activated, towards certain, I don't know, art or whatever. And there are these dark patterns that unfortunately a lot of these social media companies use, right? To just to keep us going on this dopamine loop, right? So this is actually super harmful. But I mean, I think we gave a nice challenge, right, to the startups, right? So guys, you can come up with great ideas
of social media.
Because I believe that great products come from the great problem to solve, right? So if somebody can find a solution to the big problem, then this is actually a great way to start a business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are already some apps that make you shut down your social media for a while. So I think we are getting more and more aware of the problem, but yeah, still the majority of people is high on the dopamine.
Oh
so,
yeah, that's
yeah.
Silvia, can you tell to the listeners about the upcoming batch? Maybe we have some potential funders or people with ideas who would like to join the program. So can you tell about the upcoming recruitment? Like a six, right? Batch number 6.
Yeah, it's batch number 6. Application deadline is on September 15th. You just have to upload your pitch deck and financial plan and a 3-minute video that tells us a little bit about your team and your idea. And then we have a Google Forms also prepared, so we get to know you a little bit better based on questions that we will ask in an interview. When you get selected from the written application, then we invite you to have a call with us, 45 minutes. This will happen end of September. And then if you get lucky, or if we are in love with your idea and your team, then the batch will start mid of October. We kick off the program, as I mentioned, with a kickoff call, kind of assessment, but not assessment in I have to get everything right, but to get to know you much more better. And then end of October, there will be the first on-site week. I think I forgot to mention this. The program is mainly remote, but we invite you to come to Munich for 3 weeks during the program. And then we have intensive workshops. We will have network events and also get you matched with mentors or potential clients or partners. And this is going to happen end of October, and then we do workshops and coaching sessions in between remotely. Yeah.
Just for listeners, the form that you can submit your application is in the description of the episode. So go there and check out. I also remember when talking to Jens that this because I know that startups are always very short on money, so this travel to Munich there is actually some funding for this secured, right? It's not that they have to stay for 3 weeks, entire team in Munich on their own, right?
No. Yes, we pay some compensation money for the travel expenses, and we also help you to find a clean and nice hotel room in Munich that is affordable for you and your team member. And we expect one or better 2 people of your team to be on site, but it doesn't have to be the whole team. So you can also use the money to cover the costs in the end.
Perfect. Perfect. So guys, don't, it's still a month. If you'd like to, take a chance, go and I mean, month from the recording. So it will be 3 weeks, 2 weeks and a half from the moment we publish the episode. But it's still enough, I think, time to submit the application.
Everyone can browse over our website, see the teams that have been part of our batches. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Just write me a message and we can jump on a call also before the deadline to answer all the open questions.
All right. So can I just put link to your some contact to you perfect, so people can reach out. That's fantastic. I think we'll have to talk more, and I hope we'll be in touch, Silvia, anyway, right? And regarding some collaboration, some like I mentioned, there is this entire Discord community. I mean, people are so happy to to help. So if by any chance, there are some mostly like music production, because as I'm super nerdy about your music production tools, plugins, synths, etc. So people are probably not only, there's also sound designers, etc. But yeah, there's a lot of people over there, and I'll be looking, and what's going on, and crossing fingers for the next batch. And
thank you so much for the invite and this great conversation. Hopefully we will have some applications from your community. Happy to have them with us, and we will stay connected.
Absolutely. What else is I know that you are going on holiday, so thank you for, that you found time, in this rush moment of preparation, and, wish you all the best, like recharging batteries before, the next batch, right?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm looking so much forward to my vacation.
Thank you so much, Silvia. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you liked it. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and of course on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to it and hit the bell, because we publish a lot of interesting videos there, not just the episodes. You can also become a supporter and get premium content like additional reading, unpublished videos on our Buy Me a Coffee page, linked in the description of this episode. See you in the next one. Yo.